When you know, you know. And a lot of people don't know that you don't have to compete and compare with other women, other men, other people because who you are is dope. And we see ourselves from the perception, well, our childhood, kids are mean, but that's because their parents are mean. And parents are mean because they don't really know how to nurture a child because they don't realize that their negative words is what built that child's self-esteem or towards them. And so when you don't have that self-esteem and that self-pride, when you go to school and somebody tell you ugly, you believe it. Somebody crack on your glasses or crack on your eye or crack on some imperfection in your body, you believe it because you don't have that confidence from the very beginning, which is the root of the problem. Like, you got to be confident. That's our job as parents to give it to our children, but we can't give them what we don't have. Yeah. If we don't have confidence, how you going to teach your child to be confident? You can't tell them to love themselves and you don't love yourself. And they watch you abuse yourself. They watch you drug yourself. They watch you hurt yourself. Like, it is counterproductive. Self-love comes from seeing yourself the way God sees you, but you can't see you the way God sees you until you know God.
Yeah.
So, hence, most people walk around this earth and they're not confident. And then the ones who are, they get, oh, you need to humble yourself. Oh, you think you all of that. You wanna knock down somebody else's confidence because you're not confident because what you're doing is you're reflecting and you're projecting your own insecurities onto them. They think they are that they are. God says they are. I mean, what do you mean they think they are that? That's all I heard in my generation. I don't know about yours because you're still a baby. Oh, you think you all, if you love yourself, you think you all that. That's what you're supposed to. God gave you first. Self-love comes from within, but what happens is we're penetrated with people's words. We're penetrated with people's ideologies of who we should be and who we should become. And it's just, it's a false narrative to keep you in bondage. It's a false narrative to keep you from loving yourself. Because if you don't love, the one thing about the enemy though, the negative energy and the dark energies of this world, if you don't love you, there is no possible way you can fully love other people the way you're supposed to. And that's the curse. Because if you don't love yourself, how can you love somebody else? God said that. If you don't love, how do you say you love me? You've never seen me, but you don't love your neighbor? You don't love your brothers, your sisters, you don't love yourself. How do you look in the mirror every day? A person you look at every day and you don't love that person. And we think self-love is buying ourselves something. We think self-love is dressing up. We think self-love is putting on some makeup. Self-care, getting your nails done. That is not self-love. That's caring. That's maintenance. That's maintaining. It's like, your house, your car. It's like keeping it up and running. But loving yourself is a condition that is far deeper than what you can put on you. It's within you. And until I was able to look at myself and see myself the way God saw me, all I saw was a fat body. All I saw was stretch marks. All I saw was imperfections. All I saw is that I always fuck up. Because that's what everybody told me. You're always fucking up. You mess up. You mess up there. Oh, here come trouble. Here she come. You always messing up something. You mess up your future because you can't be having kids. You mess up this because you're in the wrong relationship. You do this, you do that. I was in a relationship, girl. I cannot kid you not. Everything that happened, mind you, I was already conditioned this way. We always attract what we are. I was conditioned, right? That I was always messing up something. That I was the problem. That I was not the solution, but I was the problem. So I married somebody who also always made me feel like I was the problem. So we take a trip and we drove every vacation we would go to. I would be the only driver because he didn't really drive on the highway. So I would drive to every trip. I'm talking about it didn't matter if we went to Florida, Texas. I really like adventures, experiences, and it was cheaper to do that. So one time we drove to Florida, and I knew this was going to be our last family trip because um the last family trip because of what happened we was going to Disney. And I figured if you can't be happy in Disney World, there's nowhere on this God green earth that you can be happy at. And so we were driving and we had a flat tire driving to Florida. And thank God we didn't crash. Thank God we didn't burn. Thank God I was able to navigate. It wasn't me, it was God that directed me off the traffic. I mean, our tire blew on the highway. And you know who got told off? Me. It was my fault. I got told off. Oh, you should have got a tire first, and it's your fault. Literally, damn near cussed out. because a tire blew. Now, mind you, that blowing was not my fault. So things like that would happen in my life and in my relationship right in front of my innocent children. And everything got blamed on me. There was never no accountability. But again, whose fault is it that the tire blew? The tire blew, okay? Thank God we didn't get in no accident. Instead, I'm getting in trouble. Go to a hotel. The one hotel had roaches. That was my fault. We end up going to another hotel. It's like I always was getting in trouble for things that were not my fault, but because that's what I was classically conditioned to believe that I was the problem. I internalized that and I didn't feel good enough. And anytime you don't feel good enough, you'll never be enough. And those situations broke me, but God allowed those situations to break me, to teach me it was never you. It was the way you saw yourself from the very beginning. You would never be in a relationship with somebody that didn't deserve you if you knew what your worth from the very beginning. If you knew who you were, you would never even put yourself in that situation. But because we're in these relationships and we get mad at the person, but it's really you that you need to fix. You can't fix them. They're not going to change the way they see you. They don't see themselves because they don't know God. When you know God, and I mean when you truly have a relationship with Him, most of us want to talk about God. That is not, what does that mean? Relationship with God. He is the ultimate, Jesus is the ultimate lover. He will love you back to health. He will show you that you're beautiful and you don't need a human being to remind you of that. When you find one, it's an addition to your life. When you find somebody that can cherish and love and see the beauty within, that's a blessing. But we are so busy looking for a relationship to give us our validation, to make us happy, to make us feel whole, to make us feel beautiful. And honestly, let's keep it real. That's a self job. That's an inside job. And because your parents dropped the ball, don't mean you don't, it's not your fault how you were raised. It's not your fault what happened to you, but it's your responsibility to go back and pick those things up. It's your responsibility to go back and get what you didn't get. Get what was stolen from you. Snatch that back, you know? That's my favorite word. God be telling me, snatch it. Okay, you dropped the ball on me. You fumbled me. You can't fumble me. You fumble yourself because I'm snatching my ball back. I'm snatching that back. You can't play on this court. You can't fumble me. A person fumbles themselves. We believe that we are fumbled, and then we start talking like that. And whatever you speak, whatever a man speaketh and thinketh, so is he. I'm not going to think I'm less than because you didn't choose me. I'm not going to think I'm less than because I'm in situations where you degrade me and treat me. I'm telling you, everything was my fault. Everything. Something didn't get done. I forgot something. And so I always felt like I was always making mistakes. So if you feel that way and you think that way, then you're constantly keep doing the same thing. You're in that cycle. You're in that cycle of pain. You're in that cycle of, I keep fucking up. I'm going to mess up. I'm always going to mess up. You tell yourself that. It's a mind condition. And when I start telling myself that and I start telling myself what God told me, baby, listen, life is different. Because no longer do I need you to validate me. I no longer need you to tell me how beautiful I am. I know my beauty. And it is not on my body. It's not in the curves in my hips. It's not my lips. I know people are like, hey, your lip. It's not my lips. It's what comes out of my mouth that makes me beautiful. It's what's inside of my heart that makes me dope. You know? And we have to start accepting that. And it's not, people liked me better when I didn't love myself because they could treat me any kind of way. People liked me better. They accepted me more. When I was sitting at tables where I was being talked about, people liked me more. When I was being, when I was being your puppet and I was buying you things and doing things for you and you could use me, people like you more when you're dummy. When you're dumb, when you don't know who you are, they know who you are, but because they know who you are, see, the enemy knows your destiny. Because they know who you are, they're going to use you until they can't use you enough. But you have to be like, enough is enough. You got to know who you are. Once I knew who I was, you can't tell me nothing. And I'm okay with that. I humble myself to God. I don't humble myself to you. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am. But because those identities are stolen from us, we have to go back and snatch them back. We have to go get those things back that were stolen from us. Because that relationship will damage you.
Yeah. Well.
Baby, listen. Then you collateral damage, and now you go into another relationship based off what he told you, And and then here's the thing. Let me be clear. I went from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next, because one treated me better than the other. But then when I got over there, I realized the grass was never green. Baby, let's go back to the beginning of the garden. We think that the grass is green, but baby, the grass is green when you water it. And first, you must water yourself. Mm-hmm. If you don't water you, then ain't nobody, listen, there's nobody on this earth that's going to water you more than you should water you. And then once you do get somebody, you can't allow them to pluck up and kill your fruit, your garden, your what you've grown. And most of us get in a relationship with an insecure person, an insecure man, an insecure woman, and because their insecurities, they want to hold you hostage and bondage, and they too insecure. You know, you cannot be with somebody that's confident and beautiful. You can't be with somebody beautiful and be insecure. You got to know that they love you and love you only. You can't be walking around here on eggshells thinking everybody can steal your man and your woman. So now you want to control them. Ain't that what we do? Mm-hmm. Let me control you. Because if I control you, you won't go nowhere else. If I control, if I can control you, then nobody else can have you. And I won't let nobody look at you. And I'm going to keep you in this little box. The box that we're in is bondage. It's slavery. Mm-hmm. It's religion. Ideology, people telling you how to live. God said from the very beginning, I told y'all people, y'all don't listen to Genesis. Nobody's supposed to tell you what to do. Very first chapter of the Bible. We don't connect the dots. We go from one chapter to all the way to the end. The very beginning, number 1 says, trust me. Don't trust the serpent. Trust me. So from the very beginning, when we're children, we learn what our parents say. And I know we can't help that. But that's why we got to change the parent to change the child. We got to change the grandparent to change the grandchildren. We got to change those things in the way we speak, because the way you see them and how you talk to them is what they'll become. Like, you can't be telling them, oh, you act like your daddy, you look like your daddy. Well, they don't like the way their daddy look or act. So why you keep telling them that? Because now you have cursed them, and now they believe that they are a reflection of their father, when we are supposed to be a reflection of our heavenly Father. Mm-hmm. You better start telling these kids you look like Christ. You act like Christ. You act like God. Oh, baby, when I look at you, I see God. Because now you're speaking life into them and you're not speaking death into them. And we don't understand that. It's all fine and dandy to be pretty and cute. And that's another thing. We tell kids they're cute, but then their behavior is contradicting to their cuteness. And we got to start telling these kids the truth, but in a loving way that doesn't chop them down. It doesn't cut down their tree. That doesn't kill their fruit. You know, we have to understand that we have a responsibility, and our responsibility starts with our tongue. It starts with our tongue. It starts with what you say. What you say is what you think. What you think is what you say. It goes both ways. And so when we learn to watch our mouth and watch the words that we speak, we're so conscious about what we eat in our bodies, but we're not consciously aware of what we're feeding people. I had a whole conversation yesterday with some customers that came in. It's like everybody want to have a debate. Oh, my husband ain't gonna eat first. My wife ain't. My kids are gonna eat before my husband. Y'all so physical. Y'all so attached to this physical world. What you're not understanding is God is not talking about a plate. God said, don't worry about what you eat, what you wear, and what you do. Didn't God say that? Don't you worry about that. He's not talking about a physical plate. What you feed your husband, you got to feed your husband his spirit. Mm-hmm. You gotta feed him knowledge. You gotta feed him wisdom. That's why Proverbs is essential for a woman and a man to read. You gotta feed him knowledge so you can kill off his flesh. In order to allow your spirit to live, your flesh has to die. You gotta kill that fleshly desire in him to want to be a man, to go be with everybody else. But we're not building him up. We're not feeding him because we're too busy trying to give him a plate of ribs. We're too busy trying to give him a plate of fried chicken. God ain't talking about no plate, baby. He ain't talking about no plate. He talking about feeding that man's spirit, feeding that woman's spirit. But see, women are the wisdom, and we fail to realize that we are the problem. Because when you love you, nobody else can love you better. When you allow God to love you, nobody can love you better. When you build you up, a wise woman builds up her own home. A foolish one plucks it down with her own hands. When you don't know who you are and you don't realize that you are the home you're supposed to build first, any man that comes around, like the big bad wolf, all these stories are relevant to spirituality. Big bad wolf come and blow your house down because it's made of sticks, not stones. It's made of hay and not clay. You see what I'm saying? And so because we're not, our foundations aren't solid within, and it starts and derives with self-love. And if we are not loving ourselves like God loves us, then we are not loving properly. We cannot love our children, nor can we love our spouse, nor can we love our neighbor, nor can we love this world the way we're supposed to, because you don't love yourself, which is why you get on the internet every day and talk about somebody else. You don't love yourself, because that's why you get on Facebook and you criticize everything you see here and what you see. You sit there and you reflect and you project, but you never get in that mirror and look at yourself, because that mirror is too painful, because you don't like what you see. And in order for you to change what you see, you must change who you are seeking, which is God. When you seek God, God will show you you're beautiful inside and out. You don't have to compete where you don't compare. And that's a fact. And that's on self-love 101, baby. Listen, getting the hair done on the 1, 2, 3.